Hi, today I will talk about something about the impact of the educational level of Indian women on their employment rate. So this is the description of the data search section. And first, I determine the keywords required for the article, such as Indian women, higher education, and employment rate. Then I enter the keywords on the Google Scholar and find a lot of articles. But I only use the articles uh, those with more than 30 citations. And I'd like to use articles with a high number of citations, those published by large publishing houses, because I think this article will be more reliability. And then I read the abstract of each article to understand the general methods and viewing points. And then I select about 10 articles. Um, Finally, I take into account both the year of each article and the year when the referenced materials were published because I'd like to use new articles because I think maybe the circumstances described in the articles may change over time. So I remove the literature from before 2000. This is all the articles I selected. So this is a literature review about Article 1, and the topic of Article 1 is India paradox, rising education, declining women's employment. The participants of the Article 1 um, as there are many participants of Article 1. They are all married women, aged between 25 and 59. And the paradigm of the Article 1 is positivism, and it also has a small part of interpretivism. It's about some culture and social. And how the author to design her article, he first mentioned a hypothesis and it has a big data analysis, and then after analyzing all the data, um, he he determined the cause of this phenomenon and then finally come to the conclusion. The method of data collection of this article is directly use data from Indian Human Development 2016, and the method of data analysis is descriptive statistics, multiple regression, and use three logistic regression equation, and then use the U-shaped model and the J-shaped model. So, what about the quality of this article? I think the validity and the reliability of this article is very good because the database of this article is very extensive, covering over 70,000 married women, and the logic is very clear, and there are no external influencing factors um, to influence this article. And I think the reliability is also very good because the data the article used was collected through two rounds of surveys, not a single one-time data. So the findings of this article is as the situation of Indian women is contrary to the theory of human capital. It is not the case that the more educated women are, the more likely they are to enter the labor market. And the family income is a significant impact on whether women participate in works. And women who have completed secondary education usually come from family with relatively higher incomes, and they can choose whether to go work or not. For women with secondary education, there are fewer career options available, and most jobs, such as sales, is undertaken by men. So there is a significant shortage of supply, and the job opportunities for women is not so much. Jobs. The four I want to mention is job without gender segregation generally have higher educational requirements for women. It's usually the job like this usually requiring a high school education or above, or for example, doctors or professors. This is a literary review about Article 2, and the topic of Article 2 is family structure, education, and women's employment in rural India. The participants of this Article 2 is mainly about women between 50 and 55 who are married, but the also excluded the date of women over 55 years old because um, they were close to retirement age and might no longer wish to be employed. The paradigm of this article is positivism, and it used data from the India Human Development Service too. It also used some mixed methods. And the context of study of this article, this is an article from Madras School of Economics and published in World Development Journal, available at Science Direct. The method of data collection of this article is directly use data from Indian Human Development Survey. This is a nationally representative survey. The method of data analysis of this article is descriptive statistics and data analysis using conditional logistic regression and instrumental variable approach. The research problem of this article is, does the living arrangement of married women with different educational backgrounds in extended family have any impact on their no agricultural employment? So how the also to design this her article? So she first mentioned the research background and then make some questions. And then she determined the data sources, identify the variables in the articles, and then she analyzed the data, finally tend to the conclusion and finding. The findings of these articles is that the also think that women who live in joint family set up decreases number of working hours per year in no farm employment by 250 hours and the raise by 20% points. The adverse impact is stronger for women with low education, for higher social status, and for those residing in northern India. And women with children have a lower right to work independently in joint families. If a woman has received higher education, her no agricultural employment rate will increase, and the influence of her family will decrease. Or she will have more say within the family, and the older generation used to share the responsibility of household household chores and take care of her children. What about the quality of this article? I also think the coherence and appropriateness of this article is very good because this article is strictly structured in accordance with the positivism research model, and the data from the 2 period of India Human Development Survey has a sufficient time span. So it has very high reliability, and the ethics and the impact of this article is also very excellent. This is a literature review about Article 3. The topic of this Article 3 is why are educated women less likely to be employed in Indian testing competing hypothesis. The participants of this article are women between 20 to 55. There are lots of women join this survey, and the data and there are many data from the National Sample Survey Organization. So the paradigm of this article is positivism and some about interpretivism, because the first part of this article discusses the impact of culture and women's employment rate. So the method of data collection for this article is the same like the another two article. Directly use data from the National Sample Survey Organization of India conducts survey on consumption, expenditure, and employment. The method of data analysis of this article is descriptive statistics, data analysis, logistic regression models, predicting the probability of being employed, using 3 models to analyze. So how also to design her article. First, she mentioned the background, and then the research is conducted from 2 aspects. One is the culture norm assumption, and the other is the opportunity structure assumption. The opportunity structure assumption employed data analysis and 3 models. And then finally, she do some data analysis and make a conclusion. What's the findings? Findings is the findings about 2 potential explanation. A structure explanation which illustrates that lack of suitable employment opportunity result in labor force withdrawal of education women. The number of job opportunities available for women in India is insufficient, and the relationship between education and the employment for women is spurious, and families with good economic conditions encourage women to pursue higher education while also encouraging them to return to their family and the rising children. So what about the quality about this article? I also mentioned the coherence, ethics, and impact. So the coherence of this article is very excellent because it first writes the article. It used logistic regression analysis to analyze the data of 3 models in order to study why the employment rate of women has declined. And the data is based on national survey data, and it is highly reliable. So, finally, I do some comparison because then come turn to the paradigms. I think all three articles employ positivism in general, but the third article also mentioned elements of interpretivism, make it more comprehensive. And the research design of three articles all use the empirical research model, and all the articles uh, all the articles of data use use data from another service. So for the method of data analysis, all three articles employ the logistic regression model, but the classification in the first articles was more detailed, and the control variable were also different. The first article focused on women's income, the second one on whether they engaged in agricultural labor and whether they lived within their parents-in-law. And the third one is about the job structure. I think the three articles have different focuses, um, so they may don't have too many. So I think they both have strengths and weakness. Then come to the conclusion. Uh, these three articles all analyze the educational attainment of Indian women and their employment situation. However, the focus of the three articles were different. The first article mainly studies the impact of family income on women's employment, and the second article investigates the restrictions imposed on women's work by large families after marriage, and the third article explained the influence of culture and social job positions on women's employment rate. So that's all. Thank you for listening.